Well, hello there. Good morning in Vienna. I hope you all had a lovely time last night at the Maichfelder Hof. Now, today we're in Vienna proper, and we could talk a lot about a lot of people. So much has been going on in Vienna. And one of the persons we really ought to talk about is the guy called Johann Strauss. But we won't. We will one day, but not now. But if you want to find out about a family of very, very talented people, and that's not just the two Johann Strauss, they're brothers as well, and to a certain extent their mother, maybe not in music, but unfortunately it's also a family that would not look out of place on a Jerry Springer stage. So very, very, very funny family. So that definitely worth going into. Now, the other person we might talk about is Sigmund Freud, because of course another very, very famous Viennese, but he's a bit obsessed with certain things, so let's not. We could talk about Franz Joseph. It wasn't really the last emperor of the Austrian Habsburg Empire. He was the second last, but nobody remembers who the very last one was, and he was a grumpy old fella, so let's not bother about him. Or, of course, we could talk about Sisi, the Empress Elizabeth, his wife. Well, we could. Look, she's here as well. Oh, but the thing is, me and many other Germans have spent most of their life, believing in the film Sisi was a beautiful Romy Schneider. And then we all had to find out it wasn't true at all. It was very tragic. She wasn't really happy. It wasn't as romantic. She wasn't anorexic. She was really self-indulging, whining about mommy. And I'm not going to destroy my fantasy. I'm sorry. I'm not a big romantic, but Sisi's got to stay the way I remember her. Sorry. So, still love you, Sisi. But, of course, no, the person we've got to talk about is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. And you really ought to watch that film Amadeus, because it's a brilliant film. It's really authentic. It's probably much truer to any other film about Mozart, and it's filmed in Prague, where we're going to go next. Yay! So definitely worth doing. Now, Mozart was a dude. He was a real dude. I know people think, it's classical music, it's all like boring and stuff. It isn't really, because the thing is, it wasn't classical when it was first come out. It was like the newest thing. He was a total god. He was a rock god. He was like, Bon Jovi, maybe not Bon Jovi, Michael Jackson, David Bowie, Madonna, all rolled into one. He was the most famous guy ever, and he was a total genius. We all know he started like as a wunderkind, and he was composing when he was 5 and did his first opera when he was 8. When he was 14, he was in Rome and he was standing in the Sistine Chapel, and they played the Allegri Miserere, a totally secretive piece of music that had no score. Nobody knew the score, and he wrote it down. Totally the whole thing in one piece without any faults at all when he was 14. So he's a total genius. Some people believe that his father was a little bit pushy. If my daughter, sorry Tony, would have been that talented, I certainly would have dragged her around the stages of the world. I mean, he could read and write and speak several languages. Any instrument that you put in his hand, he could play. He was a total genius. He was an interesting man. He never really had a proper childhood, or he didn't grow out of his childhood. So do read his letters to his sister. Very, very low sense of humor. So it's really funny that he's now considered so sophisticated and so classy, and he really was rather crude. So, my darlings, I will not play violin. My daughter actually stopped me from practicing my violin while she's still on lockdown with me. So maybe next time. Have a lovely time in Vienna.